record button. And here we go. We have a great show today, and I'm looking forward to introducing Dr. Horowitz and Del Billis of Liberty Health Share. You'll want to learn a little bit more about that. So, I don't know, when does the music start? He's
the Lillian McDermott Show.
Right now. Time to dance, everybody. There you go. The good news is we're not on camera when we're not speaking. So you can dance like nobody's watching.
Yeah.
And it seems like your best.
The head bob works too.
If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be. I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to live the life of your dreams. And embrace a new truth. How could that be? A new truth. Everything we've been taught may be true, maybe not. How do you know? Unless you go through life with this childlike wonder. So are you ready? Are you ready to go through life with childlike wonder and learn a new truth? Well, I'm glad that you are here today because it is not an accident that we have two guests in one today. We are going to be talking about sleep. Are you tired all the time? Do you feel tired during the day? Well, Dr. Richard Horowitz has taught us so many things. He's taught us how I can get better. And when I say I mean you as well as I. He has taught us about resistant Lyme and how to heal chronic diseases. And this time, today, we're going to talk about something else. How we can get a better night's sleep. How important is a good night's sleep? And you know, when you're young, like I used to be, although I feel it still, I used to sacrifice my sleep to have so much fun. And now I know better. I know how important sleep is and how sleep deprivation can lead to diseases or the thought that you might have a condition. And so today, Dr. Richard Horowitz is on the show to talk about how to get better sleep. And we're also going to be adding Del Billis. Del Billis is the executive director of Liberty Health Share. And you're going to want to listen because this is an important message from Del Billis and Liberty Health Share. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Richard Horowitz and Del Billis are on the show today to say hello. Say hello, guys.
Hi there. Nice to see you today, Lillian.
It is such a pleasure to be with you, Lillian. Thank you so much for the invitation.
And I am thrilled to be able to bring this information. So let's start with Dr. Horowitz right now. Dr. Horowitz, you know, you talk about Lyme disease as being a great imitator. What about sleep deprivation? What can that do to us?
So the problem with sleep deprivation is that, first of all, Lyme does cause tremendous sleep deprivation, which is one of the reasons I got into it, was because my patients tell me all the time they have problems falling asleep, or they keep waking up in the middle of the nights, or some people actually have what's called hypersomnolence. They sleep for like 12 to 14 hours, and they can barely get out of bed. So the problem is that when you can't sleep, you're chronically tired. Your aches and pains are worse. Whatever pain you may have in your body gets worse. You can wake up with headaches in the morning. Memory concentration problems gets worse. And the problem is that, and I don't think people realize this, 1/3 of adults in the United States, 50 to 70 million Americans, have some type of a chronic sleep and wakefulness disorder, and it's associated with an increased risk of diabetes, of metabolic syndrome and strokes, heart attacks, depression, anxiety, accidents where people fall in the middle of the night and break their hips, even associated with dementia. So it's really important that people understand the necessity of getting a good night's sleep.
I'm telling you, I was texting back and forth with a new listener for the Lillian McDermott radio show, and I said, today I am taking lots of notes. I take a lot of notes. I listen to what my teachers have to say that come on the show. But today specifically, because I have not shared this off the air with you, but I can go to sleep, but I wake up so many times in the middle of the night. And so I don't know how to stay asleep. And so perhaps maybe you can teach us, as well as me, how we can stay asleep. Because when you take that description, I'm thinking, God, I wonder if I've been bitten by a tick or something. Because you're saying that could be a sign of Lyme disease as well.
Well, it can. The thing is, though, is that there's literally 25 conditions that I've listed. I spoke at the Integrated Functional Symposium last year, and I listed 25 disorders. And for example, so for some people, it could just be that you're drinking too much caffeine late in the day, right? Or you love that little piece of dark chocolate in the evening, which converts into something called theobromine, and you can't fall asleep. But the problem is for some people is they have what are called circadian rhythm disorders. Their sleep cycle is off, or they have sleep apnea. And I'm surprised that thin young women come into my practice where they can't fall asleep. They're not snoring necessarily, they don't know, but they have sleep apnea, or they have restless leg syndrome. So there's a lot of different causes, and it's really important always to get to the cause of why you're not sleeping, not just taking medications and trying to knock yourself out.
Very good. And I am hoping that if you are listening today, that you're going to stay tuned, because we're going to learn more about sleep deprivation, how to get a better night's sleep. But when we come back, we're also going to talk to Dale Bellis, and he's going to tell us about Liberty Health Share and how we can exercise our freedom. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, mics are off. All bets. Okay, so Dale, we're going to bring you back in, and I noticed that you are looking pretty dapper with a tie, and I think you're in a hotel room today. Can you share where you're at?
Yes. Share
a little bit with our viewing friends where you're at.
Yeah, I am at a conference in lovely Chattanooga, Tennessee, nestled in between the mountains. Gorgeous space, but at a convention with 500 pastors and denominational leaders who have gathered here in Chattanooga with the Imagine Conference to really pose the question, how can we imagine life to be different and better and more engaged in the future? What initiatives should we be taking to impact our world and our society? And it is just an exciting kind of energizing experience to be with these thought leaders, spiritual leaders, really planning in today's world with all of the issues we're facing in America today. How can we imagine our world to be different?
Wow, that would be an amazing visual. That's an amazing visual to imagine what life could be like. All we need is to love one another. That's it. We just need to love one another and be there for one another. But somehow that seems so much more difficult than writing a check there's so many different ways that we can love one another. And
Isn't it true that we often get caught in the routine, allow events to happen rather than taking the initiative?
Yeah.
And that's what just excites me with being with this group, of just thinking about how can we take the initiative to really solve our society's problems.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Here we go.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow with one another. Today's teacher is Dr. Richard Horowitz, and we're talking about sleep. But we're also adding, because we have two exciting guests in one here in one show, is Dale Billis. He is the executive director of Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is, I am no longer insured, quote unquote. If you're looking at me on the video, I'm doing my little bunny quote ears, but it is better than I ever imagined. Dale, I am so grateful for Liberty Health Share for not only becoming a sponsor, but for introducing me to an option where I can exercise my freedom of liberty and choose something for myself that supports the kind of lifestyle I have today. So
Thank
share
you,
a little.
Lillian.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you, Dale, for being on the show today. Share a little bit about you and Liberty Health Share.
Sure. We are a nationwide nonprofit association of men, women, families who gather around the common cause of paying each other's medical bills. We do that without the help of an insurance company or the government, just a regular systematic way to meet healthcare costs. And we do it in community with like-minded people based upon our ethical and religious values, meeting healthcare costs, being health-focused, taking
Yes.
care of our bodies because we really believe we're creatures of God and have the obligation to care for ourselves. And so our entire focus is on the care of our health and then sharing in medical costs that occur between our members.
It is amazing. I was talking to Dr. Horowitz before you joined us today, and I was telling him that how I discovered you is I was interviewing a group of people that was representing Liberty Health Share. And I could not believe, because I thought, too good to be true. Before I have them on the show, I'm gonna really research them. And I could not find fault. I could not find anything wrong. As a matter of fact, I joined you guys. So
Well,
this
thank you.
was 2 years ago. So I'm not just a radio host. I'm a member. So
Yeah.
share how this works, Dale. How does this work for people that want to learn a little bit more about how they could join and become a member as well?
Sure. We we ask our members every month to set aside what we call a suggested share amount. $1.99 for a single, $2.99 for a couple, $4.49 for a family of 3 or more. We don't count more than 3 for the family.
Mm-hmm.
That goes into a secure online account that we call a share box. And through our online technology, we then match that to another member who has medical bills that month. And you literally online see your money flow from your account to the receiving member's account. You have an opportunity to message them with cheer or encouragement or prayer, whatever the case may be. And then we cut the checks directly out to the doctors and hospitals from the receiving member's account. And in that methodology, person to person, member to member, cost sharing, we're sharing about $18 million a month.
Wow. $18 million a month. And there is for those of you who think that this is kind of woo-woo and people coming together and paying for, you guys have $1 million per incident, right?
That's correct. Our members make the choices and decisions on the kinds of bills that we share in. We call it our sharing guidelines. We've just simply said among ourselves, wherever a medical bill gets burdensome, that's where we want to step in and assist. And so we're there to help with those things that are unaffordable and unexpected. There are many costs we don't share in. We just say to ourselves, we'll save our own money, take care of that out of our own pockets. But when a medical bill gets beyond $1,500 for a family, that's the annual, what we call an unshared amount for the family. We then start sharing every incident. You have a heart attack, all the doctor bills, hospital stays, surgeries, medications associated with that condition, up to $1 million. If you have a kidney stone the next day, all the medical bills and x-rays and everything associated with that, up to $1 million. A broken arm the third day, another $1 million. I guess if all that happened in 3 days, you'd be having a bad week. But but it's $1 million per incident.
Yes.
And we found that to be sufficient and adequate for all of our members' medical expenses.
And it's Affordable Care Act exempt as well, which is
yes,
beautiful.
Interestingly, within the ACA, there is a section regarding healthcare sharing ministries, of which we are a recognized one, which simply means we help each other. And so we're exempt from both the fines for not having insurance, because we're not insurance. It's a whole different paradigm and a different methodology for meeting healthcare costs. And we're also exempt from the mandates. And so we set our own guidelines and decisions regarding the way in which we'll share our dollars to meet healthcare costs.
And so let's talk about, because who qualifies, Dale? Because, you know, we talk about on the Lillian McDermott radio show how to live a healthy life. So who qualifies to become a member of Liberty Health Share?
Sure. Pardon me again. The first requirement really is to sign off on our shared values and beliefs. There's 5 of them. They're there on our website. And we don't intrude on individual faith choices or ask what church you attend to or what doctrinal statement you adhere to. It's just 5 values that you sign off on. That's crucial. Second is that we don't abuse drugs or alcohol or prescription drugs for that matter, and commit to lead a healthy lifestyle. And that just simply means to be health conscious, to care for our bodies and not engage in habits or consume foods or engage in behaviors that harm our health. And so we're very focused on maintaining and being proscriptive regarding our health.
And if somebody is needing to improve their health, how can Liberty Health Share help them?
Well, it really touches on what we see in America today, and that is that there is, in epidemic proportions, there are chronic conditions that are increasing in America, so that when folks join us, many times they come to us with those kinds of chronic conditions: high blood pressure, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, certainly obesity, and smoking. Interestingly, Lillian, we accept smokers, but they have to commit to quit whenever they join us. And we assign those incoming members who have those conditions that are subject to improvement by a lifestyle change. And so we assign them a health coach, and they set their goals and objectives for what they want to achieve, and with support and guidance and encouragement and accountability from the health coach, they work towards those goals. And we're seeing literally hundreds and hundreds of our members graduating from what we call Health Track every month. Once they reach those objectives and goals and they're certified, verified, they can drop off the Health Track program. It costs an additional $80. But we're literally seeing people's lives change because we're focused on what they eat and how they sleep. And the stress that they reduce, exercise that they engage in. Those simple lifestyle changes that so impact today's chronic diseases.
You know, I am so excited about Liberty Health Share being on the show today, because we always talk about taking our life back, taking our health back. And here is a way that we can take our freedom back. The number for Liberty Health Share, if you want to learn more, is 855-58-LIBERTY or 855-585-4237. That's 855-585-4237, or you can go to libertyhealthshare.org. That's libertyhealthshare.org, and you hear the spots, the commercials on my show every time it comes on, because I truly believe that it is time for us to make a change and get out of this cycle of illness and focus on embracing health. And Dale, if you have, if you want to talk to somebody who's saying, I don't know if this is good, I'm going to stick with what I know, which is health insurance. I'll let the government take care of me and make decisions. What would you say to them?
Well, I would just simply say that it's really, I echo your challenge, Lillian. It's really time for us as Americans to take charge of our health, abandon the entitlement mentality, and really take on responsibility for who and what we are. And that's what we promote and encourage our members. In fact, it's one of our core beliefs. that we have the right to manage, direct, and control our own health care, free from government intrusion and involvement and mandate. And so that's really the dream of America. In fact, frankly, I often say, Lillian, that we represent freedom from insurance, because it has been a system that has brought about dependence as opposed to freedom. And that's what we encourage folks to take.
Well, I tell you what, Dale, I am so grateful to Liberty Health Share and to you for coming on the show and letting us know how we can exercise our freedoms. Thank you so much. And I know you're going to go to this Imagine conference today that we talked about during the break. And I wish you lots of luck and have fun today. Have the best day ever.
Thank you so much. Dr. Horowitz, it's a delight.
Nice meeting you.
Okay. And so thank you, Dale. And for you, my listening friend, that number again is 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. That's libertyhealthshare.org. Everybody should look into it and learn if you just call and find out if you qualify for it. So Dr. Horowitz, you heard Dale talk about how important it is for us to get off this government take care of me, give me a bunch of drugs so that I can be sick enough to need more drugs. Now, do you find that people that have sleep issues are in a multiple layers of drugs that they take?
Well, yes, of course. In fact, some of the problem is some of these sleep drugs that are classically out there are addictive. So the problem is that once people are on these, not only do they not get the right type of sleep, because you need to get deep REM sleep where you're dreaming and deep slow wave sleep. Not all of these type of medications that are out there do that. So, to regenerate your body, you've got to go into deep sleep. You've got to go into REM dreaming sleep. And unfortunately, people get addicted and dependent on a lot of these medications, and they're not putting them into the right type of sleep. So it's kind of important that people know that. And some have hangover effects the next day, where they're tired and they can't concentrate because these medications are still in their system.
Yeah, I heard about this lady in Brevard County. She was using sleep aids to fall asleep every night. And one day she got in she was going east on the west lane of 528 and caused a lot of issues. It was unbelievable. And you hear about these. We think that we rely on these pills, Dr. Horowitz, to kind of mask what's going on within us. And so if somebody's taking a sleep aid right now, what is your quick advice to them for, maybe looking at getting them off of it?
So we'll talk about that.
Yeah. The music is a little bit loud here. So we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Horowitz and discover what it is that we can do. What is it that we can do to have a better night's sleep, increase your sleep hygiene, and continue to refresh and regenerate your body? And we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Horowitz when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, Dr. Horowitz, I swear that incident that I told you about, it happened to me. I was driving. It wasn't me who did it.
Wow.
I was driving on 528 and I was going westbound to Orlando when all of a sudden I start seeing cars swerve in front of me. And this woman was coming towards me. Now, this is a 528. I don't know if you've been in Florida. 528 is divided. It's called beaches, or is divided. So you just can't cross over, And she got in on the wrong lane. And she looked at me as if I was going the wrong way. She nearly missed me because when I saw the car swerve, I went to the right. I'm talking on the phone, and I see this car coming at me. And I swerved, so she missed me, and I looked behind me, Dr. Horowitz, and she hit the car behind me. The car rolled over and exploded.
Oh, sorry.
It rolled over 3 times and exploded on the side of the road. We later found out that she was taking all these sleep aids, and it was causing her kind of like dementia-like symptoms. What can you say about that?
So, the problem with this is that there are hangover effects, as we talked about. With some of these, you have to be very, very careful, especially because some drugs that people may be taking, they interact so that your liver detox pathways can't get rid of them as effectively. I've had patients, for example, taking these drugs that get up in the middle of the night and they start eating from the refrigerator. They've got gained weight in the morning and they don't even remember getting up and basically, stuffing their faces in the middle of the night and can't figure out why. And then their spouses or their significant other will tell them, well, honey, you got up in the middle of the night and we're eating at 4 o'clock in the morning. And they have no knowledge of it. They completely were unaware of what they were doing.
Wow. There's so much. So when we come back from the break, Dr. Horowitz, I really want to talk about all these different conditions that are mimicked. Like I said at the beginning, you call Lyme disease the great imitator, but what are some of the symptoms? You already talked about that when you first came on, but let's remind our new listeners.
What I'll focus on is the main things that cause the sleep disorders.
Yeah.
And then some of the natural herbal products. And even if you do take medication, there are safer medications.
Great.
That you can take that are not, I don't use sleep drugs anymore. I actually use other medications that are off label that happen to get people into deep sleep, but they're not the classic sleep medications because in my population, they just do not sleep at all.
Yeah. Well, I do melatonin and that's something I take, but I can't stay asleep the whole night. Well, here we go. Here we go. Time to dance, Dr.
Count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
I love it when I see you dance.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow from one another. I'm just going to direct you today to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please become a subscriber. Check out my website. Check out my social media. Please like me. Please subscribe. There's now this video with Dr. Horowitz and Dale that's going to be published on YouTube, and it'll also be on Facebook. So please become a subscriber. Also, I want to tell you that the number, I was corrected yesterday that people do not have speed dial anymore. But save me on your favorite list at 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959, because I have an extra book, Dr. Horowitz, and it's called How Can I Get Better? An Action Plan for Treating Resistant Lyme Disease and Chronic Disease. And if you are the third caller or texter, 407-373-5959, you can win a free copy. I just have an extra one that has been lying around because I got an extra book. And I thought, I'm not going to just keep it to myself. I'm going to share it. Now, this book, Dr. Horowitz, has been like a coming out party for you. And everybody is just devouring it. And so let's talk about what's happened since this book has come out.
So, it's been interesting. There's been, of course, a real concern in the United States government with the people, and Dale was talking about this, about chronic diseases. Mm-hmm. We know that now Congress had a difficult time passing, right, the next stage of how we're going to improve the health in America. But Dale was absolutely correct. You've got to take responsibility for your health. There has to be better prevention and education out there. And that's why, of course, your show is so important for people, is to learn about this, because, once you get a chronic disease, you obviously have to figure out how to deal with it. But the best case scenario is not to get it in the first place. And that's, of course, where we have to deal with certain habits of diet, exercise, smoking, etc., right, to keep people healthy. Now, sleep, I think most people, I did the same as you did earlier. I used to sacrifice my sleep in school, or I would do things in the middle of the night. But now they're showing that, the lack of sleep is contributing to dementia. It's contributing to strokes and heart attacks. If you have chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, which is over 5% of America, part of that syndrome of I'm tired, I'm achy, I have headaches, is sleep disorders. So it's a very, very common phenomenon. People don't realize that getting a good night's sleep is important. But what I always tell people is, and this is why the book is important, you always have to get to the source or sources of why you're not sleeping. So, you could have an acute viral infection and not fall asleep, but you also might be stressed. Your cortisol and your hormones might be high at night. So, for example, there's a saliva test we do called a DHEA cortisol salivary test. And we find people with high cortisol levels, it's a stress hormone. And if you meditate at night or do biofeedback and take certain supplements like phosphatidylcholine, you can lower down your hormone levels like cortisol at night and get a better night's sleep.
Can you repeat that?
Phosphatidylserine.
Diddle. I didn't hear the diddle part.
Yeah,
okay.
Phosphatidylserine. It's a nutritional supplement that helps to lower elevated cortisol levels at night. So, when people take, for example, melatonin, or they take some natural products, including valerian root, right? You can get valerian root in most of the health food stores. The German commissionee showed that it is effective for sleep and for anxiety and for calming people down. But if the hormones are elevated, right, you're just not going to get to sleep. So doing sometimes hormone testing, same problem with menopause, when women go into menopause. When the hormones go low and you have low estradiol and low progesterone, you need progesterone for sleep. So some women, for example, if they take progesterone, which is the anti-estrogen, progesterone hits GABA receptors in the brain. These are the receptors that shut your brain off and help you to go to sleep. So we might use, progesterone for women, for example, 100 or 200 milligrams at night when they can't fall asleep. We might use GABA creams or GABA powders. So there are creams called GABA L-theanine. L-theanine is a green tea extract. And we'll use creams like GABA L-theanine cream applied to the temples, the occiput in the back of the head, and will stimulate GABA receptors. So instead of using Valium compounds to put you to sleep, which hit GABA receptors, we'll use more natural type of compounds like GABA L-theanine or GABA in powders, sometimes progesterone, as we talked about.
Okay.
Also, for those people who are drinking too much coffee, as I said earlier, I have an espresso machine in my office. I can't drink coffee more than past 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or it interferes with sleep. And some people are taking medications for ADHD, like Ritalin, Adderall, Vyvanse. Those have very long half-lives. They can interfere with sleep. So it's really important to get to the underlying causes. Do you have sleep apnea? Do you have restless legs? And some people need a sleep study. And there are even companies that will come to your home. You don't need to go to a hospital. It's called AccuSom or Novasom. Your doctor can order it. And
what is the AccuSom? Where you can sleep? It's a sleep study in your home?
That's correct.
That is excellent. Who can fall asleep with all those wires in a strange place?
No, but nobody could fall asleep with that. So,
I can't imagine how those tests could be accurate.
Yeah. So we use a lot of AccuSom or Novasom. It's a company. Most insurances cover it. And we do sleep studies at home because we're surprised that young, thin women may have sleep apnea, or you might have restless leg syndrome, where your legs keep moving at night.
Really? Does it really keep moving? I mean, what is it? It just twitches or what?
Yeah, it's actually a problem with a neurotransmitter in the brain called dopamine. And when people have restless leg, they don't have enough dopamine, so they sometimes need things to help raise the dopamine, or even magnesium. Sometimes using magnesium supplements calm at night. We find about 25% of our patients are mineral deficient in magnesium, as well as iodine, copper, and zinc. But magnesium can be very helpful sometimes for people to sleep at night, especially when they have restless legs.
Okay, so I want to go back to the DHEA cortisol saliva. Where is a good place? I mean, is that a very expensive test?
No, most doctors can order it. They run, I think, if you don't even have insurance, it might be $100 to run the test out of pocket. And depending on the state you live in, there are many different companies that run it. We use Aeron Labrix here in New York, but there are many other companies that will run a DHEA cortisol test. You just need to speak to your doctor. And it's been validated, by the way, against standard hormone testing. But hormones will affect sleep. You could have too much thyroid hormone or not enough thyroid hormone, growth hormone, male hormones, female sex hormones. The hormones are quite important in putting people to sleep.
Wow. Okay. So this is important. I'm because of myself too. I'm asking these questions because of me, and I'm hoping that by asking the question, that I will remind you, my listening friend, call 407-373-5959 or text and get a copy. Be the third caller or texter, 407-373-5959, and get a copy of Dr. Horowitz's book, How Can I Get Better? And by the way, this book now has an official questionnaire we'll talk to you about during the break. But okay, so why would our cortisol all of a sudden start acting up at night when it's supposed to be in the morning?
Well, many people are stressed. I mean, we know the kind of stress disorders that people are walking around with in this country because of the way our lifestyle is. So we do find that a fair number of people are stressed out. And by the way, people who also stay on the computers or tablets late at night, that will interfere with melatonin production. So,
are you talking to me?
I might be talking to you. So the problem is people have to learn how to shut down their computers, before trying to go to bed. And that's, again, we give people things like meditation techniques, biofeedback. There's a very inexpensive biofeedback monitor that people can order online from a company called heartmath.com.
Yeah, they've been on the show before.
Yeah, and it's a great company, and you plug it into your iPhone, and you can basically learn to get into alpha and relax at night. So things like, doing biofeedback and meditation and cognitive behavioral therapy. If you're very stressed out, they've shown that quick sessions of cognitive behavioral therapy can also be very useful for those of us walking around with a lot of stress where we just can't sleep at night. But again, the key is getting to the underlying source of the problem. If you're depressed and you're anxious, you might not fall asleep. If you have reflux, gastroesophageal reflux disease, right, and asthma, you may not fall asleep. Lyme disease causes delayed sleep phase syndrome, where you can't fall asleep till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and you keep waking up in the middle of the night. And DSPS, delayed sleep phase syndrome, is very classic for Lyme. We only see it in teenagers, right, who can't fall asleep till late, or Lyme patients. So if you're one of these people, again, where your circadian rhythm is off, you just can't fall asleep on time, you're getting up late, that is one of the indications we see with tick-borne disorders all of the time.
It's like a puzzle. I think it was you who said you're an MD, but your MD stands for medical detective, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I was thinking it was you, because it is true. We are so conditioned, Dr. Horowitz, to just take that pill. And that pill may or may not be doing what you need. And it will cause side effects that if we were to just dig deeper and discover the root cause. You know what I'm going to do after the show today is I'm going to order a cortisol saliva test. That's what I'm going to order. And we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Richard Horowitz. And also 407-373-5959. I've got an extra book to give. 407-373-5959. Be the third caller or texter, and you will get a free copy of How Can I Get Better? And we're going to continue our conversation on sleep hygiene when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you.
I'll be right here.
I am so excited, Dr. Horowitz. When you said last month that you wanted to talk about sleep, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to take lots of notes. How about patterns, habits? I need to have everything really dark. That's one thing I will tell you. I do prepare the room very well, but I do work. And then after I'm done working, I'll go to bed. And so maybe my brain is still activated.
Right.
But how important is, like, let's say, for example, I, for 8 years, lived right not next to, but a mile away from a train track. And the train would come through like at all hours of the night, and our house would shake. And we lived far away. Could that be waking me up, and still, like PTSD, continue to wake me up? Could that have messed up my flow?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, one of the things we can talk about also that is a bit difficult for people and they don't realize is, yes, the environmental noise can be a problem, but so can EMF.
That's one of the things I want to talk about.
And so people have to realize also that sometimes shutting off basically your wireless at night
Yeah.
can help certain people, because there are people who have exposures to EMFs and they're very sensitive. But yes, environmental factors like ambient noise. I have blackout shades. They found that the melatonin production is not produced, if you have too much light. So I have blackout shades in the room. And we have found that it's been very, very helpful.
Yeah, I not only have blackout shades in my room, I have a little silk cover up for my face. Oh my God, that has saved my life. $15. I should bring it and show it to people so that this company that doesn't even know I use it. I even have it here. Oh my gosh, I have it here in my office. My studio is also in my guest bedroom, and I have them for my guests when they come. If they want to cover up, it's a silk cover up and it fits perfect, doesn't slide off. That is the best blackout shade that I've ever done. And I no longer have to turn everything off. I also turn off all my cell phones. My cell phone is not allowed in my room. But my husband on the other side, he does have his, how does that EMFs, how the EMFs, which is electromagnetic frequency for people that aren't familiar with that, how can that affect us? How can those frequencies, because we have them all the time on us.
Right. Well, not everyone is sensitive, but there are definitely a group of people who have chemical sensitivity. Those are usually the ones that have more of the EMF sensitivity. But it's been shown that it's been linked up to widespread effects such as depression, insomnia, but not everyone, again, is sensitive. So that's the point, is you have to sometimes turn off the wireless and find out for yourself whether it's interfering with your sleep or not.
I went to a local naturopath here in Florida, in Melbourne, and I saw the sign when I walked into her building: leave away all your phones, turn off everything, leave it in the car. And I had a neck thing. I set off her alarm, but she kicked me off. I had a Bluetooth. Okay, here we go. This is our last dance,
You can
Dr.
text Lillian
Horowitz.
McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
You have been listening to Dr. Horowitz, who's been teaching us how to have a better night's sleep. He's our teacher today on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where you can hear worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. Dr. Horowitz, I'm so grateful that you have made a commitment to come on the show once a month, because, everyone I speak to that is a leader in the community, whether it's medical or mental, and I say, Dr. Horowitz was on my show, and she goes, Dr. Connie Mariano was one of them. She said, oh, I love him. I saw him at a conference. She's the White House doctor. I don't know if you know who Connie Mariano. She's going to be reaching out to you pretty soon. I want you to know that. She loves you. Anyway, many people are becoming aware that there are layers upon layers on health. And we talked about during the break, for those of you who would like to watch this video that we're recording the show, you can also go to YouTube or Facebook.com. It'll be posted there. Dr. Horowitz, we talked about EMF, electromagnetic frequencies, during the break. And I want my listeners that are driving around to learn a little bit about how their cell phones, their Bluetooth, their laptops are affecting them at night.
So there's been some recent reports about EMFs. I think the one that came out in the past year that probably concerned people the most is not to put your cell phone directly up to your head, because they were now finding very clearly in animal models that the same type of tumors, glioblastomas, that they're finding in rats, they're finding it in humans. You do not want to have EMF frequencies directly next to your brain. So that's the reason why you don't bring your cell phone into your bedroom. Some people need to shut off their wireless at night, because they've shown that EMFs have been associated in some cases with depression, and it has been associated with insomnia. Now, not everyone obviously is sensitive to the EMFs, but there clearly are a subset of people, many usually who have chemical sensitivity. Some of those people can be very, very affected by EMFs. And it's just worth, again, not being on your computer at night because of the melatonin, shutting off sometimes the wireless, and just seeing if it makes a difference. The other thing, by the way, which is also common, and I think people forget, is that a lot of people get up in the middle of the night to urinate. And, so the other problem is you may not want to be drinking 5 glasses of water, right, and a lot of beer and wine in the evening, because it also interferes with hormones where you're urinating all night long. And people sometimes forget that 25% of those accidents where they break hips is where they get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. So people have to be very, very careful about how much you're drinking. You could be a man with a prostate issue. You may want to get it, taken care of. Certain drugs like antihistamines that we use for allergies interfere with prostate function. So there are things that you have to watch out for. But again, always getting to the underlying sources, right, of why you may not be sleeping. Is it stress? Is it the prostate? Is it too much caffeine? Is it chocolate? Is it EMFs? Do I have sleep apnea? Do I have restless legs? So in the sleep chapter in my book, I list these out one by one for people who say, I can't keep track of all of this. Just read the chapter in the book. It'll explain it. And then I talk about medications, which are not sleep medications, by the way, which we have to use in our Lyme population because my patients do not fall asleep and they will not stay asleep. And while I was doing internal medicine before doing Lyme, I never saw these type of sleep disorders before. So the things that people, interestingly enough, that will sometimes work is we need to get into stage 3, stage 4 sleep. There are stages of sleep. We have a circadian rhythm with different stages of sleep. The REM sleep is when you dream. So you have to have the dream state going on a few times a night to really get regenerative sleep. So we don't use, as I said earlier, I no longer use any of the classic sleep drugs. But some of my patients who can't fall asleep, they sometimes do need a muscle relaxant like Flexeril, or they might need to take a medication because a lot of my patients have nerve pain or neuropathy. There are medications like Lyrica, for example, that a small dose at night not only helps the nerve pain, but actually gets them into deep stages of sleep. There are medications like Trazodone in low dose, which is used for anxiety, gets people into deep stages of sleep. Now, we weren't taught this in medical school, right? And in low doses, these medications I find can be effective, especially when you're starting to mix them with some of the more natural type of sleep aids, like take magnesium at bedtime, try valerian root, try GABA in powders or creams. Some people need melatonin, and melatonin will decrease inflammation in the body. We find Kavanase is an over-the-counter supplement that will help with sleep.
Kavanase, how do you spell that?
Kavinase, Kavanase.
Okay.
There's a nutrition company, Orthomolecular. They make a product called Serenity PM. And this has a lot of natural herbal products that will help people to sleep. There's even Chinese herbs. Dr. Zhang, who's a Chinese doctor that I work with, he has one you can get called Herb Balm. These are different Chinese herbs in combination. And by the way, again, in my book, so again, people don't have to memorize these.
Yes.
All of these are actually listed not only in the chapter, but in the addendum in the back of the book.
And for those of you who would like a copy of this book, be the third caller or texter, 407-373-5959. And you can get a copy. How can I get better? It's an awesome book. Get started getting better. Now, there's so many things that we can do to improve our life. You talk about stress, becoming aware of that. But I would like to know what Dr. Richard Horowitz does what's your sleep hygiene look like? And does everybody's sleep hygiene need to look the same?
So I personally am a very sensitive sleeper. I've had problems with sleep since I've been young. I have blackout shades in my bedroom. You want to black out all the light for people that can't sleep because it will interfere with melatonin production. So, and as you get older, the melatonin production does go down. So some people may benefit from blackout shades. If you have noisy neighbors, you may want to consider about getting a white noise machine.
What about train tracks?
That could be a problem.
I think that's what my problem is.
So, but a white noise machine, some people will do well with white noise, which will block out the ambient sounds. And there's even companies, I got mine from Brookstone. I'm not associated with any of these companies, but they make actually a sound soother that has certain frequencies that get you into delta and theta sleep.
Wow.
So, and these.
What's it called? What's that machine called?
I think it's called the sound soother. I don't even remember offhand exactly, but I think that's it. So myself, even though I'm living in the country and it's very quiet, I will use a sound soother and blackout shades just because I can hear things doors down in my medical office. I must have been a dog in a prior lifetime because I am so sensitive to sound that I need these type of things to help to get to sleep. But I've learned not to get on the computer late at night. Don't stay up late at night, watching television. The sleep hygiene really is, if you exercise in the morning, right, and you're eating a good diet without a lot of caffeine, and you're balancing your blood sugar. And hypoglycemia is very important because if your blood sugar tends to drop in the middle of the night, you are going to secrete hormones where those hormones are going to wake you up. So exercising enough, getting the proper diet, keeping down the carbohydrates and the sugar with small, frequent meals, throughout the day, balancing it with the right type of fats, extra virgin olive oil, avocados, right, the good healthy fats, with maybe 40% protein, 30% carbs, right, 30% of these good fats, making sure that you're away from the computer, de-stressing at night with meditation, biofeedback. All of these things can be helpful. And then if you need, obviously, after you've ruled out sleep apnea and these things we've talked about, then really all you need to do at this point is start to make sure that you've gone through the book in detail. Have I ruled out all the causes? Have I taken a look at using GABA, valerian, magnesium? We mix many of these different natural products, sometimes with the medications. And we do find that when people get enough sleep, their fatigue, their memory problems, their joint aches, their muscle pains, right? Their mood disorders. It affects all of these things, and no one wants to get strokes and heart attacks and dementia. Low sleep, right? Improper sleep is now associated with all of these different problems. It's very, very important.
I tell you what, Dr. Horowitz, never enough time. What I'm going to do is after we say goodbye to our listeners, we're going to continue this conversation off the air on video so that we can all tune in and listen to you. And I want to thank Liberty Health Share. That's libertyhealthshare.org. Please learn a little bit more about that. Dr. Horowitz, you're an amazing man, and I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation when we get off the air. And so thank you for being on today.
Oh, my pleasure.
And to you, my listening friend, hey, it is time. We talk about getting your health back. Now it's time to get your sleep on. And we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job, Dr. Horowitz. Now comes the show after the show. Unbelievable. Lots of information when it comes to sleep. And so let me Brian will probably turn off the noise on the background here that we're hearing. There we go. And thank you, Brian. And Dr. Horowitz, sleep has been something, I grew up with chronic asthma, and I take vitamin C for my asthma. And but I wonder if that has kept me going. Now, you also talked about thyroid conditions. You talked about all these. If you have any, how do you improve your sleep, or how do you get a good night's sleep when you have some of these conditions? What do you supplement with something else? What do you do?
Well, it's interesting you say that about the asthma, because I had asthma when I was a child also, and used to wake up all in the middle of the night having to use my asthma spray. Now, when I was having asthma, of course, this was in the time before the medications got better. And the sprays we had to use would basically make your heart pound.
Yeah.
It was very, very difficult. So what I've now learned about asthma, for example, because asthma and any form of lung disease can also interfere with sleep, is that I found that a lot of my patients are histamine sensitive. And so if you're eating the wrong types of foods, and even though avocados, for example, I mentioned earlier, are a healthy fat, if you happen to be histamine sensitive, avocados may not be for you. So for example, I'm dairy allergic, right? If I eat too much dairy, I'm sneezing and I'm wheezing and I'm itching. I can control my asthma staying away from histamine related foods. So this is
avocado.
Believe it or not, avocado, some of the things like tomato, some of the really common things we eat, tomatoes and eggplants and avocados and dairy, fermented foods, right? A lot of people like eating fermented foods. It's great for the gut, but it's not great necessarily for people who are histamine sensitive. So,
now, is everybody with asthma, are they all histamine sensitive?
No, not everyone, but the way that you know if you're histamine sensitive is if you eat a meal and you notice within literally, it could be a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes after eating, you're noticing nasal congestion and mucus production, and you're starting to get mucus in the back of your throat, and you're sneezing. You pay attention and you're starting to itch, you can actually find out whether you're one of these people. And there's a test called dermatographism. You take your fingernail and you put it on your forearm, and you basically write, for example, the letter of your first name. And if it comes up within like 10 seconds, where you get a little hive or wheal that comes up off the skin, that means you've got cells in your skin called mast cells or basophils, and they're releasing histamine. So that's one way that you can find out. But most people who have asthma, allergies, they also have hypoglycemia. And those can interfere with sleep and be a big problem. As well as, by the way, we didn't mention it because we just didn't have time, the people who are you have shift worker syndrome, like you're working from 4 to 12, or nurses who are working, from 10 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning.
Their rhythm is off too.
Oh my God. Their circadian rhythm is completely thrown off. And that actually puts them at increased risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, depression, accidents, cancer.
Oh.
All of these things happen. So, I mean, God bless the nurses who give their lives to work in the middle of the night, or people who have these shift worker syndromes. But I have to tell you, it is not healthy for the American worker. They've now associated this with many, many different diseases. So it's difficult because some people don't have a choice, of course. They have to do this, but then they have to make sure that they're improving their sleep hygiene when they get home.
Wow. That's not good news for people that are shift or graveyard workers or whatever they're called. Okay, so you also talk about drinking water and eating before bed. What is your recommendation? Because, people drink water, they take their pills before their vitamins or supplements, whatever, before they go to bed. They become a urine fabrication machine, and they have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning. And so what is your suggestion for eating? And especially if you're hypoglycemic, what do you recommend for eating before bed or drinking?
So some people do need a small snack before bed. One which I like, which I find works for many people, is you take a Susie's brown rice cake, which is very thin. There are these Susie's Thins. They're 4 grams of carbs. They're very low carb. You take some almond butter, assuming you're not, allergic to nuts and almonds, because almonds is very well balanced with proteins and fats, right? And then you may take even a little bit of an organic sugar-free jam that you put on it. It's crunchy. It's delicious. For people that really can't go for long periods of time, you can use a small snack like that sometimes at bed. But it's best for most people who have GERD, who have reflux, which can wake you up in the middle of the night. And by the way, is a cause of asthma. That is one of the causes of asthma. People can have silent reflux disease. And in fact, maybe next time we can even talk about GI issues in the United States.
We are. I guess we just picked our next topic.
We may have just picked the next topic because that's also affecting millions of Americans who are also talking about all kinds of stomach problems, and their bellies are hurting. And it's one actually the major causes of dysfunction of people missing work in the United States is actually from.
Wow.
Yeah, so we can talk about that next time. But regarding eating and drinking at night, we do find that some people, their hormones are low. Like there's a hormone that's produced in the back of your pituitary gland called ADH, antidiuretic hormone. And I find that some of my Lyme patients, these inflammatory molecules from Lyme will shut off the production of ADH. So you can do a blood test, you can check, are you missing ADH? And then you give them a pill or a little nasal spray with ADH, and then they don't get up multiple times in the middle of the night, right, from ADH, loss of ADH. But also people might have blood sugar problems with diabetes, right? They're going to get up in the middle of the night. There are, of course, a lot of people with congestive heart failure, right, heart problems. They have to be very careful that they're lowering their fluid intake, towards the evening. Again, we talked about men with benign prostatic hypertrophy, which is worsened if you're taking antihistamines. So, you have to know the causes of why you may have problems of getting up frequently in the middle of the night, but those are probably the most common causes. So it's best to kind of limit your fluid intake after 6, 7 o'clock at night. And for many people, that will be helpful.
I have a texter, Dr. Horowitz that said that they were listening to the show and they have restless leg syndrome, and they use an oil mix to help out with those symptoms, and it helps out tremendously. For his allergies, he uses a non-drowsy medication for colds, but that keeps him awake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you suggest for someone like that?
Well, I mean, there are medications. I mean, for the worst of the worst, if you fail things, the natural things like magnesium, or you even take one of the muscle relaxants I was telling you earlier that we use for sleep.
How little, because when you think of muscle relaxants and all these medications that you talked about, I'm glad you mentioned that again, because I wrote them. I got the Flexerol, the Lyrica, the Tridazone. What was it?
These are low dose. Yeah. So
how low? How low?
Flexerol, for example, the generic is called cyclobenzaprine. I only use 5 milligrams. Now, normally when they're treating people for like back spasms and muscle relaxants, they use 10 milligrams 3 times a day, 30 milligrams a day. This is 5 milligrams.
Okay, good
right,
to know.
Which is taken at bedtime. And there's even a form of the medication called Amrex, which is Flexeril in 15. We have people open the capsules. There are these time-release Flexerils.
Okay. Uh-huh.
They take a third, and they take it 6 hours before they have to go to bed. And it kicks in 6 hours later, and it keeps them to sleep the whole night. But you have to obviously know, you have to cut up these tiny little capsules. These are tricks, right? You learn along the way. But if you find that for restless legs, magnesium and like 5 milligrams of Flexeril cyclobenzaprine is not enough, there are medications like Mirapex, which raise dopamine levels, and some people have to do them, right? So you always try natural first if you can do it. But you can, again, take a very low dose of the medications like Mirapex, 1 milligram, and it will help some people with restless legs where the dopamine production may not be enough.
Amazing, amazing things. And so real quick, the time where you shut things off. How much time should you give yourself from when I'm typing on the computer, working in the middle of the night, to getting ready with the meditation and preparing your sleep? Honor it as if it were a sacred temple that you are honoring.
I think to be realistic in American society, probably an hour before going to bed is probably going to be reasonable for most, because most people are not going to do it way before that. But I think what's important, and we didn't mention it earlier, is it also is important not just getting 8 hours of sleep per night, but what time you go to bed. That if you get to bed by 10 o'clock in the evening and get up by 6 o'clock in the morning, your hormone production is actually much, much higher. So, for example, they found that when you don't sleep for several days in a row for men, it lowers their testosterone levels by up to 15%. Just by not sleeping for several nights in a row or getting to bed too late. So the hormones that you produce in the middle of the night that are very, very important for your health, like growth hormone and the rest, you've got to get to bed early and get up early with the light. So that is actually the best type of sleep hygiene that you can have, but it means you've got to have discipline, right?
At 9 o'clock, you shut things down.
And then you start to relax, right? You relax, you might want to meditate, sometimes my wife and I will take a piece of paper and we'll download the stuff from the day that, you don't want to bring into your sleep all of your problems from the day that your subconscious mind has to solve in the middle of the night. So get a pad and start writing down the issues that you need to be able to be dealing with the next day. Take it off the slate for your subconscious mind to be working on in the middle of the night. That I've also found can be very helpful for people, having that discipline.
Yeah, I was coaching somebody who could not sleep. He could not sleep the whole night. And so I asked him, what do you do? And here's a coach coaching somebody that I have issues with sleep. I don't have a problem going to bed. It's like staying asleep is my problem. And I said to him, what do you do? And he goes, I read and read and read and read and read and read and read. That's all I can do because I'm just so wound up. And I said, well, how about if you write and write and write and write and write all the things that you need to do, schedule yourself. What are you going to do tomorrow? That's something I used to do religiously. And I have fallen out of it because now I've got the show. There's so many different things that are happening. And I feel really responsible to make sure that a new truth is discussed. And I bring teachers like you that allow us to see the world in a different way. But that tip is a very good tip, along with everything that you discussed. I love the book. because it gives us our power and our freedom back, to kind of like be our own healers. I mean, our bodies are designed to heal. And how amazing it's like when we cut ourselves, how quickly our body regenerates. But then we see as we get older, we're not regenerating as fast. Do you feel that that is what we're expecting, or is that because we didn't treat our bodies the way we needed to receive that optimal health until the moment we take our last breath?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that, people are wired differently with sleep, and I think you and I have shared the same problem. I've always been a light sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I have learned over time that when I exercise regularly,
Mm-hmm.
and I get my diet in order because I'm hypoglycemic and I've got to eat the right foods,
God,
right?
you're like the male version of me.
Yeah, no, I mean, so, it's called heal thyself.
Yes.
So, and Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine. You learn these things over time, which is, look, I think some of the medications out there are great. The truth is I use both integrative medicine and standard medications, but I choose carefully and wisely, which from column A and which from column B, because sometimes you do need certain medications where the herbs, the natural things don't work, but people can get to sleep and get a good night's sleep, right? If they really look at the underlying causes of why it's happening. And I can't stress enough for people that shutting off that computer at night early and doing some meditation or biofeedback and getting into the deeper stages of relaxation before going to bed, it makes a huge difference in a lot of people, because we are walking around with so much stress for most people day after day that you've got to find a way to kind of let that out of the body. And that's why, I've been learning and teaching meditation for so long. I started learning it in medical school when I was in Europe. And I find that calm abiding meditations, breathing meditations, mindfulness style meditations, they're very, very useful. Just watching the breath, you can sit up and just watch the breath go in and out. Don't follow thoughts of the past. Don't follow thoughts of the future. Don't follow thoughts in the present. There are some very simple techniques, and we could even be teaching this in a future program if you want me to. Well,
I was gonna ask if you could close the show today, for our viewers, our viewing friends, and a quick meditation or a meditation that we can do, because people that are watching hopefully aren't driving, but maybe we can do this with you now.
Sure. So the key is that if you're in a place where you can sit quietly, you just have your back straight. Your eyes are going to be open during this technique. Your hands are on your lap, your right hand resting in your left. Your chin is tucked just slightly downward. Your tongue is to the roof of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is called the 7-point posture of Vairocana. I learned this posture from my meditation teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very important to have proper posture when you're meditating. But there are 3 stages of meditation that I teach to people. So we'll just do the simplest one now, which is called calm abiding.
Okay.
So this is the technique. Before you meditate, you say to yourself, I'm not going to get involved in the thinking mind. I'm going to leave this aside for the next 5 minutes, right? And I'm just going to be present in my body, and I'm going to watch my breath. And I'm going to follow the breath naturally in and follow the breath out. And the key to the technique is don't follow thoughts of the past. The past is gone. You can't do anything about it. Don't follow thoughts of the future. Future hasn't happened. You don't know what's going to happen. And don't follow thoughts of the present. The only thing you're going to do is be fully in your body, watching the breath, breathing naturally, watching it go in, watching it go out. And anytime your mind gets distracted from the breath, just gently bring it back to the breath. And they found that when you do this, just watching the breath go in, watching the breath go out, this helps to stimulate a part of the body called the parasympathetic nervous system. And that starts to bring down all of that stress and relax the body. So it's just watching the breath very gently, constantly bringing back the mindfulness to the breath. And if you do start to get, for example, distracted, that you have too many thoughts and you notice, gee, I can't watch my breath, the technique is a visualization. It is a black 4-petaled lotus upside down at the level of the heart. It's visualized like a rainbow, right? It's not solid. And in the middle of this lotus is a small little sphere, which is bright. But it's dark. In this particular visualization, it's a darker sphere, and it's at the level of the heart, and it goes down through your body into the earth. And it's heavy, and you bring your thoughts down. And similarly, if you find that you're drowsy and you can't follow the thoughts, the lotus is now white, and it's right side up at the level of the heart, four-petaled, with now a bright white sphere in the middle of it. It's white on the outside, red on the inside. It represents your consciousness. And you basically shoot it up through the top of your head, and you focus this bright white sphere in space above your head. And this will help you with being more awake so that you can have mindfulness of watching your breath. So these techniques of sitting up more straight when you're drowsy, right? Or taking a very deep breath and blowing out the breath, right? To get
through your mouth or your nose?
A lot of times we'll do this through the nose, actually. You can take 3 breaths. First, a short breath in, and then you breathe it out. And then a medium breath in, and then breathe it out. And then a third breath, really deep, and blow it out as hard as you can to get the stale breath out. And then just gently watch the breath, constantly bringing attention back. This has been proven through Harvard, through many researchers, that it will start to calm you down, get you into deeper states of alpha, eventually theta wave states, very deeper states of meditation. Very beneficial for the body, lowers inflammation, affects the genes in the body, affects even the way your telomeres, which are part of your chromosomes. If you have short telomeres, you don't live as long. It's been shown that meditation causes an elongation of your telomeres. It affects the enzymes in the body for long life, lowering hormones like cortisol, stress hormones. Very, very beneficial. I always recommend to people, because of the stress we live with and the sleep disorders, do a very short 5 minute, just 5 minutes before you go to bed, just watching the breath. And when people learn meditation, it can be 5-minute short sessions throughout the day. Just quick, short, start to train your mind to stay in one place. Not monkey mind kind of thinking about things all over the place. And that can be, that's right, there he is in the background.
Yeah.
So that's very, very important, because it will help you with your general health and, of course, help with sleep.
Amazing. I am so excited, Dr. Horowitz, for this awakening of the importance of sleep, a new truth that I need to embrace as well, because I do have a lot of deadlines that I meet. And sometimes I just, I've been contemplating saying no to some things, because the yes is just as valuable as the no, and the no is just as valuable as the yes. And so what happens is, when we're tired throughout the day, it may take me an hour to do something that normally takes me 15 minutes. And so it's what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So it is time to make a commitment to restore our sleep so that our days can be, faster. We can work on, if it's a 15-minute thing, it'd take 15 minutes. So I want to thank you, Dr. Horowitz, for allowing me, or helping me, and hopefully my listeners and my viewers that are my friends, make a commitment as well. So thank you so much for everything you do. You're like Mensa man. I mean, I don't know that MD. We're having to become a Mensa detective. So thank you so much for everything that you do. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation about the GI system.
Great. Let's do it.
Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure.